I just want to do that with y'all real quick. It's going to take 2 seconds. So I believe God sent his only son to die for my sins, my limitations, my brokenness, my shortness, my shortcomings. Thank you, Lord God, for leaving the Holy Spirit, which is my best friend, that rests with my soul, that will navigate me through the promised land. Okay, amen. Now it's angels in heaven rejoicing because whoever wasn't saved is saved today. So if you think you was going to hell, if you was confused, you're not. We just put the nail in the coffin. We are going to heaven. Okay, that's foremost.
The moment Compton entered this story, the internet stopped laughing. Because this wasn't just another Chrisean headline anymore. This time Baby Junior's name was attached to it. That single detail flipped the entire mood of the timeline. Memes slowed down, jokes disappeared, and people leaned closer to their screens. Everyone felt it instantly. This wasn't messy entertainment. This was something heavier, something that made people uncomfortable in a way they couldn't scroll past. Then Karlissa spoke, and the shock doubled. Her reaction didn't sound soft, careful, or rehearsed. It sounded final, cold in a way that felt less like anger and more like exhaustion. The kind of tone that comes from someone who feels like they've said the same warning to many times already. The internet froze because those weren't words people expect to hear publicly from a grandmother. Especially not when millions are watching. Suddenly, everyone became an expert. Parenting experts, child safety analysts, emotional psychologists with comment sections instead of credentials. Some said Karlissa was protecting the baby at all costs. Others said she crossed a line that families usually never cross in public. The comment sections split instantly and the debate turned ugly fast. Because once a baby is involved, nobody wants to admit there might be more than one truth. This moment made reality TV look fake and celebrity families look fragile. People started saying this made the Kardashians look wholesome by comparison. Because there was no script here, no producer stepping in, no clean edit. Just raw emotion colliding with public pressure in real time. And the scariest part was how quickly people realized this wasn't an ending. It felt like the beginning of something far worse. This situation didn't come out of nowhere, even if it felt sudden to the timeline. The tension between Chrisean and Karlissa had been simmering quietly for a long time, hidden behind public smiles, forced tolerance, and moments people pretended not to notice. Family conflict doesn't always explode loudly at first. Sometimes it builds in silence, collecting resentment with every ignored comment and every unaddressed concern. Compton wasn't the beginning of the story. It was just the moment everything became impossible to hide. Chrisean's life has never existed outside of public judgment. Every step she takes gets interpreted, dissected, and labeled within minutes. Motherhood didn't shield her from that pressure. It amplified it. Suddenly, people weren't just criticizing her choices, they were measuring her worth through them. When Baby Junior's name became part of the conversation connected to Compton, the internet shifted gears instantly. This stopped being celebrity drama and turned into a debate about responsibility, safety, and who gets to define what being a good mother looks like. Karlissa's reaction didn't land softly, and that was the point. It wasn't wrapped in comforting language or softened for public consumption. It sounded like frustration that had been building for a long time finally breaking through restraint. Some people heard concern, others heard rejection. What nobody could ignore was how blunt it felt. Those weren't words chosen carefully for optics. They sounded like words spoken by someone who felt emotionally drained and done repeating herself. The internet reacted exactly how it always does when nuance enters the chat. It rejected it. One side declared Karlissa a grandmother simply protecting her grandchild at all costs. Another side accused her of publicly distancing herself in a way that crossed an emotional line. The middle ground vanished immediately. People don't come online to sit with complexity. They come to choose sides, defend them aggressively, and treat real families like debate topics. Chrisean, once again, found herself carrying the weight of multiple narratives at the same time. To critics, this moment reinforced every negative assumption they already had about her. To supporters, it looked like another example of her being judged more harshly than anyone else in the situation. Her silence only added fuel to the fire. Some saw it as guilt. Others saw it as emotional overload. In reality, silence under pressure often means someone doesn't know how to speak without making things worse. Blueface's absence from the conversation didn't go unnoticed either. His lack of immediate response became its own controversy. People questioned why he wasn't stepping in, calming things down, or at least publicly acknowledging the tension. Silence in situations like this is never neutral. The internet fills the gaps with assumptions, motives, and accusations. Whether intentional or not, his distance allowed the conflict to center entirely around the women involved. Baby Jr. became the emotional anchor of every argument. His name was invoked constantly, often by people far removed from the actual situation. Everyone claimed concern for his well-being, yet the loudest debates seemed less about him and more about proving a point. This is how online outrage often works. Protection becomes performance. Concern becomes a weapon. And the person being protected becomes a symbol instead of a human being. As details about the Compton run-in circulated, the story began mutating. Early reports described it vaguely. Then the language escalated. Words like encounter, confrontation, and danger started replacing neutral terms. Each retelling added intensity. Each reaction video added emotion. The internet doesn't preserve events as they are. It reshapes them into whatever version generates the most engagement. Karlissa's image began shifting in real time. She was no longer just Blueface's mother or a concerned grandmother. She became a polarizing figure, praised for honesty by some and criticized for harshness by others. What stood out most was that she didn't appear interested in softening her stance. That refusal to perform emotional politeness made people uncomfortable. Society often expects women, especially mothers and grandmothers, to cushion their truth. Karlissa didn't. This moment also tapped into a larger cultural conversation. Celebrity motherhood, generational trauma, and public accountability all collided at once. Viewers weren't just reacting to Chrisean or Karlissa. They were projecting their own experiences onto the situation. Some saw their own families. Others saw their own mistakes. That personal connection made reactions more intense and less forgiving. The more people talked, the less clarity existed. Opinions hardened. Empathy became conditional. The story stopped being about understanding and turned into winning arguments. In that environment, no one really listens. They wait for their turn to speak louder. And when everyone is shouting, resolution disappears. It became clear that this wasn't going to end quietly. Too much had already been said. Too many lines had been crossed publicly. The damage wasn't just emotional, it was reputational. Once moments like this go viral, they don't fade cleanly. They linger, resurfacing whenever the next controversy appears. What happened in Compton wasn't just an incident. It was a crack in a foundation that already had structural issues. And cracks don't heal on their own. They widen under pressure. The internet applies pressure constantly. By the end of this phase, one thing was undeniable. This story was no longer about a single reaction or a single moment. It was about a family unraveling in public while millions watched, commented, and judged from a distance. And if history has proven anything, it's that unresolved family conflict doesn't escalate on camera. Once the initial shock settled, the internet did what it always does when chaos feels unfinished. It went hunting. Old clips resurfaced. Archived lives were reposted. Tweets that once felt harmless were suddenly reframed as red flags. Every past interaction between Chrisean and Karlissa was dragged back into the spotlight like evidence in a trial nobody agreed to be part of. The narrative shifted from one incident to a pattern. and patterns are easier to judge than moments. Reaction channels smelled blood in the algorithm. Videos multiplied overnight, each one louder than the last. Titles promised truth, context, and what really happened, even when they recycled the same 30 seconds of footage. Commentators spoke with absolute certainty, even while contradicting each other. Confidence mattered more than accuracy. Whoever sounded the boldest won the moment. Memes followed quickly, because humor is how the internet processes discomfort. Some were brutal. Others were careless. A few crossed lines so fast people pretended not to notice. The situation was compared to reality shows that thrive on dysfunction, except this wasn't edited for entertainment. People joked that this family drama had more twists than a streaming series, while ignoring that real lives were getting reshaped in the process. Public outrage grew louder and messier. Some viewers shifted their stance, saying this incident changed how they saw Chrisean completely. Others doubled down in her defense, arguing she was being held to standards nobody else in her position could realistically meet. The divide wasn't polite. It was hostile. Every comment section turned into a battlefield where empathy was treated like weakness. Karlissa's words continued to echo. People replayed them, rephrased them, and weaponized them depending on which side they were on. Supporters called her honest and brave. Critics labeled her cold and damaging. What made the reaction stronger was her refusal to soften the message. She didn't clarify. She didn't walk anything back. That silence felt intentional, and intention makes people uncomfortable. Blueface's role came back into focus as the noise intensified. His absence started to look less like neutrality and more like avoidance. Fans questioned why he wasn't mediating, protecting, or at least acknowledging the situation publicly. Others suggested his silence was strategic, letting the controversy burn itself out without him taking direct hits. Either way, the lack of intervention made the family fracture feel wider. As the story evolved, influencers and celebrities adjacent to the situation started weighing in. Some offered concern. Others offered thinly veiled judgment. A few used the moment to promote their own platforms, disguising commentary as care. Their involvement didn't calm anything down. It validated the chaos. Once public figures start reacting, the situation officially becomes spectacle. The conversation around Baby Jr. intensified in a way that felt both protective and invasive. Everyone claimed to be speaking in his best interest, yet few acknowledged how harmful public speculation can be. His name became a moral shield people hid behind while arguing their personal opinions. Protection turned into performance. Concern turned into content. The irony went largely ignored. Comparisons flooded the timeline. People referenced celebrity meltdowns that ended careers, families that never recovered, and moments that shifted public perception permanently. Others joked that this made the most famous reality TV families look functional. Those comparisons stack because they framed this situation as a turning point, not just another headline. Meanwhile, details about the Compton run-in kept changing. New versions surfaced daily, each one slightly more dramatic than the last. Some reports exaggerated, others contradicted earlier claims. The truth became harder to locate under layers of interpretation, but accuracy stopped mattering once engagement peaked. The most dramatic version traveled the fastest. Chrisean's silence began to feel heavy. People projected meaning onto it, assuming regret, defiance, or breakdown depending on their bias. Silence became a canvas for speculation. Every hour without a response added another theory to the pile. The pressure to speak grew, but so did the risk of saying the wrong thing. Karlissa, on the other hand, appeared unmoved by the backlash. That composure, whether real or perceived, became another point of controversy. Some admired it, others resented it. The expectation that she should cushion her stance never stopped, and her refusal to do so only hardened opinions further. The situation reached a point where outrage started feeding on itself. People argued not just about what happened, but about how others reacted to it. Meta debates took over. Reaction videos responded to reaction videos. The story folded in on itself until it became a loop. By this stage, it was clear the damage wasn't limited to one incident. Reputations were shifting. Trust was eroding. Relationships were being reshaped under public pressure. This wasn't a moment that could be undone with a statement or apology. Too many eyes had already decided what they believed. The internet moved quickly, but consequences moved differently. They settled quietly. They linger. And as the noise slowly reached saturation, a new question replaced the old ones. What happens when the cameras stop caring, but the fallout remains? Because viral outrage doesn't last forever. But what it leaves behind often does not. When the volume finally dipped, the consequences didn't. Viral moments fade fast, but the damage they leave behind moves slowly and sticks hard. What happened around Compton stopped being a trending topic and started becoming a reputation checkpoint. People weren't asking what happened anymore. They were asking what it meant. And meaning is where opinions harden into labels that don't wash off easily. Chrisean's public image took another hit that couldn't be softened by context. For critics, this moment became proof, not a question. They treated it like a conclusion they'd already written, waiting for confirmation. Supporters felt the exhaustion creep in, the kind that comes from defending someone who never gets the benefit of a learning curve. Growth is demanded instantly, but grace is never offered with the same urgency. Karlissa's stance reshaped how people viewed her as well. She wasn't just reacting anymore. She became a symbol of boundaries drawn publicly, sharply, and without apology. Some praised the clarity. Others recoiled from the coldness. What unsettled many was the finality of her tone, as if a line had been crossed that couldn't be uncrossed. Once words like that enter the public space, they don't disappear. They echo. Blueface could no longer stay invisible in the story. Silence that once felt strategic began to feel costly. Fans questioned his leadership within his own family, wondering why mediation never arrived before the implosion. Critics argued that chaos seemed to orbit him wherever he went. Whether fair or not, association became accusation. In the court of public opinion, patterns matter more than intentions. The ripple effects moved quietly behind the scenes. Conversations slowed. Opportunities hesitated. Brands and collaborators don't announce when they step back. They just do. Unpredictability makes people nervous, and controversy without control rarely pays long-term. The internet may cheer in the moment, but business prefers stability when the noise dies down. Jaden's presence in the broader narrative remained complicated. She wasn't at the center of this chapter, but the fallout touched her anyway. Public perception doesn't differentiate cleanly between roles when stories overlap. Being adjacent to chaos can feel like participation, even when it isn't. Once a narrative absorbs you, escaping it takes time and deliberate distance. The most uncomfortable truth sat in the background the entire time. Baby Jr. became the moral centerpiece of arguments he never consented to. His name was invoked constantly, often by people who would never meet him. Protection turned performative. Concern became competitive. The louder the debate got, the easier it was to forget that privacy is also a form of care. As the dust settled, the story reframed itself again. This was no longer about a single run-in or a single reaction. It became a case study in how family conflict mutates under fame. Private issues lose their edges and gain an audience. Every decision becomes content. Every emotion becomes a headline. Healing becomes harder when the internet is waiting for the next update. Chrisean faced the familiar crossroads between reflection and repetition. Every future move would now be measured against this moment. Apologies would be scrutinized. Silence would be misread. Progress would be questioned. The expectation to transform instantly, publicly, and perfectly is a trap celebrities fall into again and again. Real change doesn't happen on timelines built for outrage. Karlissa's future interactions would carry a similar weight. Boundaries set publicly tend to demand consistency. Walking anything back risks looking weak. Standing firm risks looking unforgiving. The internet rarely allows for recalibration. It prefers absolutes. And absolutes don't leave much room for reconciliation. What lingered most was the sense that this chapter wasn't closed. Too many feelings were left unprocessed. Too many statements were made without follow-up. Unresolved tension doesn't dissolve on its own. It waits. And waiting in the spotlight only sharpens the edges when the next spark appears. Speculation filled the quiet. Would there be a sit-down conversation? A public statement? A tell-all interview framed as clarity? The audience anticipated the next move with unsettling enthusiasm. In this ecosystem, calm feels suspicious. Silence feels temporary. Everyone knows another moment will arrive. They're just guessing when. The broader lesson hovered over everything. Fame doesn't solve family problems. It magnifies them. Money doesn't heal emotional wounds. It adds pressure. Public accountability doesn't guarantee growth. Sometimes it freezes people in their worst moments. The internet rewards escalation, not resolution. As attention drifted elsewhere, the real work remained off camera. Repairing trust, redefining boundaries, protecting what should never have been public in the first place. None of that trends. None of that gets thumbnails. But it's the only path that doesn't lead back here again. This story didn't end with closure. It ended with a pause. The kind that makes people uneasy because it feels temporary. History suggests that when things go quiet in this saga, it's rarely peace. It's preparation. The next chapter doesn't announce itself. It arrives uninvited. And when it does, the internet will be ready. If you made it this far, don't act surprised. You knew this story wasn't going to sit right, and you stayed anyway. So now do what the algorithm understands best and smash that like button like it personally disrespected you. Not a gentle tap. Hit it with the same energy the internet brings to every scandal it pretends to hate, but never stops watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments because we already know everybody has an opinion. Was Karlissa setting boundaries or burning bridges? Was Chrisean being judged unfairly, or is accountability finally catching up? And where does responsibility actually land when family drama becomes public content? Say it loud, say it honest, or say it messy. The comment section is the real after party. If this video randomly found you, congratulations. You just walked into the middle of a saga that never ends quietly. Hit subscribe because stories like this don't come with closing credits. They pause, then come back louder. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, turn on notifications now. Trust me, trying to catch up later never works. This channel doesn't chase rumors. It breaks them down, calls out the nonsense, and reads between the lines while everyone else is screaming headlines. It's between the lines while everyone else is screaming headlines. No fake outrage. No soft takes. Just real conversations about fame, family, and the damage that happens when everything becomes entertainment. Because today's viral moment is tomorrow's reputation. And the internet never forgets who it judged first. Welcome to Fame FLAWS, where celebrity lives crack under pressure. And the truth is never as clean as the headline.